Welcome back. As America celebrates its 250th anniversary, China is on the march for global superiority, seeking to replace the United States as the world's leading economic and military superpower. A recent poll from the Reagan Institute shows a vast divide between generations of Americans over the threat that China poses to U.S. national security. 93% of Americans aged 65 and older are concerned about China's ability to spy on the U.S., compared with just 62% of Americans ages 18 to 29. The survey also reveals older Americans are more concerned than younger Americans, with China surpassing the U.S. as the world's biggest economy by a 22-point margin. I want to bring in now for reaction former Deputy National Security Advisor Victoria Coates. Victoria, what did you make of this, that this younger generation doesn't understand that a communist country, the CCP, known for human rights violations, among many other things, is a threat to the United States? They don't understand that.
Yeah, good morning, Cheryl, and I hope you had a great Fourth. It was such an important day for America in establishing what we stand for, and that makes these numbers all the more concerning. And I think we've got a couple of things at play here. For starters, China is so much more active in the information space than we are. And think about where that generation is getting their information. Overwhelmingly, it's TikTok. China controls those algorithms, and so they're controlling what those younger viewers, or consumers rather, are learning about China. And they're not obviously learning about their genocide against the Uyghurs. They're not learning about the fentanyl coming into the United States, killing a lot of our young people. They're learning that China, is this great technological wonder, that they're going to lead on AI, that we shouldn't want to get into a war with China. Well, that's the last thing I want too. But at the same time, we have to be clear-eyed about these risks. And so I do think what Congresswoman Malliotakis was talking about in terms of communism in the United States is related, because obviously this is communist China we're talking about. They're putting the best possible face on totalitarian communism. I didn't think there was one, but they're apparently fairly effective at it. And that's what we have to combat.
They're using AI, and that is the concern about the Chinese getting ahead of us when it comes to the AI race. And that is something that is deeply, I believe, disconcerting to many in the intelligence community right now. But I do want to get to a broader issue with you, because President Trump's going to be heading over to Turkey for these NATO meetings Tuesday and Wednesday. And I wanted to get kind of your take on that, because we've heard some pretty strong rhetoric from the president in recent days that he's very unhappy with NATO and their performance as partners, both militarily and financially. What do you expect these meetings are going to mean, and what do you think the president's big takeaway should be from, and his big ask should be on Tuesday and Wednesday?
This is really a critical NATO summit, Cheryl, and in Ankara, as you say, the capital of Turkey, obviously a NATO member, but a somewhat problematic ally to the United States. I think there are going to be some tough conversations around Turkey's role. But the fundamental issue here is the configuration of the United States global posture to take into consideration our obligations in the Middle East, in Latin America, in the Indo-Pacific, that are going to have to draw some of our attention away from Europe. And now that makes Europe very uncomfortable, because in the 80 years after World War II, we've been that guarantor of inexpensive security for them. And now they not only have an emboldened Russia on their eastern front, they also have the United States saying, hey, you've got to step up and do more. And we have great and good allies, that what I call New Europe, because they remember Soviet domination. They don't want to go back to that. So you've got Poland, Romania, the Baltic states, all spending well over 5% of their GDP on defense. But it's the big ones, Cheryl. It's got to be the United Kingdom, Germany, France, Italy. The big economies of Europe have to step up to that same level, or else we're not going to be able to take care of the rest of the world and let Europe take care of Europe.
Victoria, as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of this nation, and we look ahead to 250 more years, do you think that America is more safe today than it was before President Trump came back into office?
We're certainly getting safer, Cheryl. And I think the other big message to NATO has to be the $1.5 trillion defense budget request the president sent up to the Congress earlier this year, a historic defense budget. And this is the president saying, I am putting peace through strength on the table. This is what we're talking about here. And they can't say he's not doing the kind of investment necessary to keep the American people safe. And also, interestingly, from that Reagan Institute survey we were talking about, that younger demographic strongly supports that military expenditure. You might think they want to do something else with that money. No, they understand that the best way to keep America safe is to have that cutting edge, incredible modern military that was on display on the mall in the skies above both New York and Washington yesterday, an incredible display of military strength. The president is investing to keep that for the next generation, and I think we will be the safer for it.
Yeah, well, and certainly there's a $67 million ask for the Pentagon for some emergency funding for Iran. Final word, Victoria. How soon is that money needed, do you think, by the military? We know how Congress works, and sometimes it's not very fast.
No, it is not. And I think Senator Johnson was rightly talking about the broken nature of the Senate. Yeah. But I do think that they will pull together to get that funding done. Keeping a nuclear weapon out of the hands of Iran is our top priority, and we need to fund that.
And we do. Former Deputy National Security Advisor Victoria Coates. Victoria, thank you so much. Wonderful to have you on the program.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox 1.